All right, welcome back to the holiday week of the Trench Warfare series. This is also Pro Bowl week, so a lot of guys, well-deserving guys, made the Pro Bowl this year. But as you're a young player, what usually happens is you start trying to mimic the guys that make the Pro Bowl, right? So if you're a young high school player, college player, you're trying to learn these moves these Pro Bowl guys are making. And a lot of times it doesn't really sync up with your natural athletic ability. So for example, when I was growing up, not everybody can be Javon Curse. So trying to run the wheel like Javon Curse really didn't make any sense for most players. And so for some players, it makes more sense to be like a power game guy, like a Reggie White guy. But understand, there's really, really good players in this league that don't get recognized, maybe because they're on a different team or a team that's not getting a lot of credit in prime time. But I wanted to show you a matchup this week that was on Monday Night Football that demonstrated that even though guys aren't getting the notoriety maybe they deserve, as a young player, there's certainly things you can learn from and benefit from studying some of these lesser known but equally as skilled players. So check this game out.
Great game, obviously, if you're it's a great game, obviously, if you're a Bengals fan, which I'm not, but it was a good game to watch. And the matchup, the Trench Warfare series stuff, the matchup between Villanueva, the left tackle for the Steelers, who's been a good player in this league for a number of years, we talk about a lot because I give him some grief because he's a West Point guy, but he's a really good player. And Carl Lawson, number 58 for the Bengals, who I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know who he was until I watched this game. I just happened to be studying some film on him for something else earlier in the week. Thought he was a really, really good player. And then he went off last night with the amount of kind of pressure he put on Roethlisberger. And you just watch a guy like that, and you understand how important it is to be drafted by the kind of organization that can give you kind of the attention or allow you to have the kind of star power that a guy like this deserves. Because he's a really, really good player in this league. Like, he's just not some average starter. I don't know how good his numbers are sack wise or anything, but I'm telling you, this kid can play. And so this matchup was really kind of entertaining for me to watch as a fan of football, and then also a guy who's really into kind of the intermingling between offensive and defensive linemen. So let's just start off here. The biggest thing with a guy like Lawson is he is running his arms. He's a full speed guy, full motor, and he wants to chop down your arms all the time. So to win against a guy like that, you have to be able to win with your inside hand. So if you go back to the Miami game against the Bengals, they did a good job winning with their inside hand. But like the Dallas game, the guy really struggled winning with that inside hand. So this guy could get off. So you just see he's just always going to keep coming. Villanueva does a good job just getting that inside hand on him and kind of keep the ball moving, keep him moving, his momentum moving forward away from Roethlisberger. And we'll just see how this goes again. So as we like to do, that was just the first kind of pass pro of the game. But as we like to do, I'd really like to just go through this kind of series by series and just take a look at what's going on. I haven't watched this. Is all cold for me except for last night. Just love the way he fires off the ball. So interesting way that Villanueva sets up for this play. No stagger, so he's squared the line of scrimmage. He's making a suggestion here, right? Now, I haven't watched enough of a film on him, but we know this is not his usual set. And so you're wondering, there's a couple things going on here. Maybe it's a run. Maybe he's trying to fake that it's a run like a play action pass. We had a pistol formation back here. And then the other thing is I noticed will happen is you got a 2-eye, you might have guard help, right? And so maybe you're going to try to force him inside. Check it out. So you look at that set again, and when we talk about kind of what you want out of a set, we want that angle to be more on a line. So if you put a line on his outside foot after 2-3 kicks, you don't want to be able to cross that line. Because right now, 58 can really do whatever he wants, right? Villanueva's too high. Now he's got the inside track inside, and then obviously that guard's helping. So you can see that guard came to help. So maybe that's why we're letting him get away with beating us inside at the tackle position, because we know that guard's going to be there to help us. But generally speaking, this isn't the kick or the slide that you're looking for. You can just see this guy's got a big motor for sure. So I just want to start off by the next series in the game. You can see the stance is a little bit different, even though so he's gone through 3 stances already, right? He's got his like third down or second and long stance. He's got that square stance he was trying to do for either a play action or that slide protection, and then now he's got another one where he's a little bit wider, so it looks like he's going to have to move here somewhere other than backwards. So as we watch this, Case comes down and just look like, so 58 gets a shot there, and you just kind of see it's going to be one of those nights where he's going to be all over the ball. So we're going to get to the second, third down of the game. See the kid's ready to go here. Villanueva's clearly in a pass protection mode. You see the kid does a good job just forcing the issue here. Talking about Lawson. He's got the inside stab to separate, and he's winning inside, outside on 78. And then 78, obviously, Villanueva gets tangled up with the other defensive tackle, so it looks worse than it really is. But you can just tell, you're 2 series in, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night. The guy's sniffing the quarterback. Smells blood. All right. So now you're in your 4th series. Again, as we just kind of look at this, stance is different. So stance is wider. So what does a wide stance mean? What do we figured that? We figured out that usually means he's going to step kind of away laterally, right? So I'm sure 58's figured that as well. So you see how he's closing, and again, gets a hand on the quarterback. It's just every single play. The guy's relentless. You just got to appreciate. He's against there's an all-pro play, a guard right there. He's just going through guys. Really like the way he's playing. But it's the ability to use these tips, I think, it really gives this guy an extra step, right? So now clearly in a pass protection situation, you don't know if your run's going to step in or not. Again, he got his hand on Ben. Every single play, they run pass pro. And you look, he's opened up again. He's got him with high hips, easy to turn. Gets his hand on Ben again, even though he gets the ball away. Always getting his hand on the quarterback. That's why I think this guy is really kind of a hidden gem. 58 switches to the other side here. Run a little ET, and you see, he gets his hand on him again. Just always getting his hand on the quarterback. It's just such a big deal. And we talk. If you get on social media and you talk to a lot of these guys, and they'll show you all these great hand moves and all these special moves that people are doing. This guy's got one or two basic things that he's doing. He's just working really, really hard. So we're a couple series further ahead, but I just want to show the interaction between these two guys. And again, one thing I love about this guy is it's pretty basic, right? He wants to win with that inside hand. He wants to wipe or chop off the hands of the tackle. And again, I've just been lucky enough to fortunately watch 2-3 games of this guy recently, so I kind of understand what his game plan is. And you can just see that 78's a big hulking man. He's tall, though. He plays with high hips. And so it's kind of one of those guys that if you're a leverage player like 58, you probably are just trying to get underneath him all night. Now, we watch 78's demeanor here, Villanueva's demeanor and his stance. You can always tell that, okay, from the last time he used this stance, it was more of a flat set. Maybe he has help coming his way. Yep. So we keep him at bay there. Again, there's always these little tells, right? We talk about the game being a game of inches, or I always think of it in half seconds or steps, right? It's half seconds or steps. So when we're always giving tells, like for example, 3-point stance like this, there's no purpose of him being in a 3-point stance coming out to block this guy, right? So you're just trying to send a signal, right? So if this guy's done his homework, he probably knows that something is up here. So look, just relentless, makes a great play, tackle for loss in the backfield. And you can just tell he's a fourth-year player, and he's, here we go. And he's really kind of, amongst other things, he must have a really good D-line coach because he knows how to watch film. You can tell that he knows what's going on in this game before the snap happens. So he's in his pass pro stance. We're talking about 78 now. Look, the demeanor is that he's coming downhill in this direction. Okay, kind of bad footwork by 78. Tries to grab him, loses inside, has that inside hand, has inside help. Survival ball a little bit though, really, right? You think about how this guy's playing him. One with that inside hand, though. One thing about it's a bad play here for the Steelers, but one thing about linemen, you can win if you win with that inside hand. A lot of things can go wrong. You can still win that snap. Believe me, I know. I see plays like this. I just want to make this point. So you see he's in his racehorse stance, so he's going to set vertically here. You would think, and what really stands out to me is that how close his feet are together. And that there's this relationship where you have a really wide 3 or a tight 4 eye. And one thing you just have to understand is tackles will oftentimes set for this. So they're going to set for this game right here. So you see his set is even flatter than normal, and he's put himself in a good position. But, to me, why not set that way all the time? It kind of takes care of all your problems. You get to your real estate spot faster than the other player. You're in a good position. You're under control of your body. You're balanced. And we always go away from that. We'll try to maybe kick wider. We'll open up. But when you sit flat like he does here, I just want to revisit it again. Look how square his shoulders are for 2-3 kicks. And it just puts you in a much better position to be successful. So 2nd and 6, racehorse stance. You see he's coming off the ball. You see how high he is, obviously, in that 2-point stance. It's very, very difficult, I think, and kind of intuitively, if you look at what 78's dealing with right here as far as his natural body height plus being in a 2-point stance, it's going to be really hard to get movement on this player if this guy wants to anchor down at all. And you can see he's attacking the tackle and making that guard kind of leave him for the inside help on the linebacker. So that's a strategy they probably use, knowing that if we attack 78 out of that 2-point stance, it's going to be hard for him to get movement on the ball. Okay, so we got 3rd and 3, racehorse stance, and I think this guy's actually got a great move. here. If you watch 58, slow down a little bit, kind of double hands, little hocus pocus move with an arm over. You see a lot of carnage over here from that play. Obviously, it doesn't get to the quarterback, but again, that's just another thing you have to think about it. If you're playing left tackle here, your set's good. You're in your spot. You've kind of done that rhythm thing with your hands where you're going to show the guy when it's time to punch as we watch this. So you're not keeping your hands, kind of calm right here. It's like load up and, oh, shoot, right? And so there's all these little nuances to the game that we don't spend a lot of time talking about. But if you have your feet settled there, if you settle down, if you get your real estate spot and settle down a little bit, it's a little bit easier to not kind of cock your hands before you make that big punch. So you got 1st and 10 the next series. The Steelers at this point are down, so we're going to do a lot with, the assumption is they're going to make some passes here. So you can see kind of the profile of all these defensive linemen, right? They got that hips up, got that racer stance, and they're kind of looking like at least we're going to move. Now, where 38 is positioned, if it was me, I'd be thinking that this could be a run just because he's in that B gap inside almost over the guard, right? So that's a good handoff mesh point place to start. So and they do a really good job of covering up with 89 and all these tight ends by keeping that square stance. So this square stance, as opposed to a lot of things we've watched, suggests in the split that they have suggested they're not going back on a wham play, right? And they're either staying in the block or they're going to release here. So as we watch this kind of unfold, can you see the tackle setting out wider now? Now, that is such a... okay, this is the sack. So you see this tackle setting out so much wider than he was when he had that wide 3 earlier. And it just, again, it harkens to why. Why are you trying to get out there? And there's this kind of fear, I think, by tackles, especially when this tight ends here, that they kind of have to get out wider and confront this guy. But look what happens. You're just completely out of position. Your shoulder pads are, square to the sidelines here. And you just get beat badly inside to the point where the guard really can't even come over and help you with that play. If you watch 58 here, 58 does a really good job of setting this up. By the angle he shows pre-snap, right? So he's showing this hard angle upfield. So this tackle's compelled to get there. 2-3 hard steps. And then as soon as he sees he's out of position, just uses that length that he has with those arms, does a great kind of lateral move and back up vertical. Great play by him. Again, not a very difficult move to execute. It's not a lot of magic hand fighting or anything like that. Just a guy being instinctive, understanding where he's trying to get to real estate-wise, trying to get that tackle off of his comfort zone and then attacking. Great job by 58. All right, so a couple plays later, you got 3rd down again. And, I think the problem is, that could be holding. In some games that's holding. I'm glad it's not holding on offensive lineman, but, it's tough. And if you watch here, 58 does a great job coming into the body because he knows that 78 doesn't do a really masterful job of punching and extending with his hands, getting his hands inside. And so he knows he's going to be able to take that chest. And it gets a good player, but a tall player like 78 is, 58 is going to use his leverage to his advantage, just like kind of what Aaron Donald does to all the players in the league. Using that leverage and that body height is an actual advantage instead of a disadvantage, kind of changing the narrative. All right, so we're back in a passing situation. As we watch this, it's 2 point. You see, he just turns early. For me, this is why it's so difficult to play tackle if you're going to turn early because now you open up like you're basically like the hand of a clock, right? And your foot just rotates on an axis as you watch this again. Again, that you got that open left foot, so your hips are going to open early. So you're, on your 3rd kick, you're already kind of perpendicular to the sideline, and then now. You just have to completely open up, and he doesn't make the play here, but, not a comfortable situation to be in. Again, 58 is just doing his job here. I don't think there's anything masterful that he's putting out on tape. As we watch this, he's definitely got good speed, a little bit of a feint, but he gets his hands on. The biggest thing right here is you get to confrontation under control. You get to confrontation under control here. So you see the hands out, and this guy's going to put hands on. So it's just a question of you get to confrontation under control, and then who's going to win the hand game? Because right here, given where his feet are right now, it's not ideal, no, but you're not losing unless you're getting pressed. right? But if you get pressed like you do there and then rip through, then you got problems. It's a good battle. This is a good battle against two good players. Watch it again here. You know, they've put this fixture, tight ends fixture is almost permanent now because they want to try to slow this guy down. So now he's forced to come into Villanueva and then try to bat that handoff. You see Villanueva does a really good job of resetting his hands. You know, that's one thing you can say consistently in this game. If he starts with his hands outside, as far as resetting goes, he does a really nice job more often than not, and that's why I think he has a lot of success because that's, you know, you kind of look at some of these body positions, and I don't think, you know, I know their line coach isn't coaching that, certainly the way that he bends at the waist and not bending those knees and hips, but when you win with your hands, sometimes that can kind of take care of a lot of those problems, especially when you're the size and length that he is. 3rd and 1, and a great job by 78 knowing that ball's going to come out quick. Really, again, like he started the game, patient and winning with that inside hand. Right, so a little bit different stance. Let's start there. So stance is a little bit flatter. Again, he changes his stance a lot. I mean, to me, it'd be uncomfortable, but whatever floats your boat. But he's kicking out wide. He knows he has help here, so he can get, you know, kind of that half-man coverage different than he would if he didn't have inside help. But he's winning with that inside hand. That inside hand allows him to get on 58 and allows him to drive. Okay, we got a big 3rd and 7 here towards the end of the game. And again, he's just not a lot of fancy moves, right? I mean, if we keep watching this, I see these kids working on all these moves, and I've said this before. Think about the angle that he's coming at right now. Think about what that does to the rhythm of 78. Think about how basic he is as far as, hey, he wants to win by getting that inside hand inside on the body, trying to win on chop down on that outside hand, and then just turn. Just does a really good job of being relentless, you know? The guy's winning, and a lot of this stuff doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but truth be told, like, I know he has the 1 sack and he has the tackle for loss, but he's done a lot more than that tonight with his ability to play at this speed and this level and this leverage. Again, just playing hard. Honestly, really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. All right, so I'm going to take you to the last play of the game because, you know, this got shown a lot. Let's just play at full speed right now. Kind of see what happens here. Good get off. Chop rip. Gets on Roethlisberger a little bit. Causes problems. And certainly influences the outcome of this last play. We want to take a little bit closer look at 58. Let's watch him first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, start the outside chop and rip. And once you get to that shoulder, you can turn, right? Once you get shoulder pad to shoulder pad, you know you're able to turn that body. So he's working this play in practice on rhythm. He's running this play in practice all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, outside chop. Now he can plant, turn. Now he's going to try to get around with that 6-step, hip to hip, and just affect the throw. So big play in the game, obviously. Now let's take a look at Villanueva and what we can do better. First of all, we've talked about it all night. We've talked about it all year. This is a tough stance because if you just stood up and turned naturally, you turn your shoulders to the line of scrimmage. So you're already kind of at a disadvantage. But as we go through this now, you want to keep your shoulder pad square. 1. So now he's on his second kick and he's already turned. Both feet are turned out. He's high, showing all these numbers. Now, a lot of coaches for the last 30 years have given us this upright stance. Instead of being in kind of an athletic hip hinge mode, like kettlebell swing, broad jump, you know, how a linebacker stands, not a no numbers look. Like, I don't want to see your numbers right here. Like, why do I want to see all of that number? Because from my perspective, all you're giving him, especially with your hands out wide, you're just giving an opportunity to put his hands on you, right? And that's not what we want. You want to be hands tight, give that no numbers mentality, and just the ability to kind of strike and then sit. So as we continue through here, you go outside in, you pump with your hands, and when you put yourself in this position here by not punching and extending, when you're here, now when this guy's shoulder to shoulder and you're the taller player and your hips are high, you're going to turn, we call it turnstile, and you're going to do it very, very quickly because he has the leverage position on you. Now, just imagine if he would have punched and extended right here. Now, his chest is back, his shoulders are back, he's sat down, he's punched, and now this turn radius is, instead of being in kind of this direction, it's way out here, right? His angle of turn is way, way higher, and he's not going to get his hand on the quarterback. And that's literally the difference, as simple as it sounds, between no pressure, no nothing, no problem, and what looks like it might have affected the throw on the biggest play of the game or the last play of the game. So, like I said before, I really didn't know a lot about this guy until this week. He's a heck of a player. He's on a team that just he's not getting recognition because maybe he doesn't have the opportunities to be on primetime. Maybe people just don't know about him. This guy's a really good player. Young players, plays simple. He knows how to watch film. He knows all the what all the different stances and everything of this guy mean. He knew where to come off. He knows how to challenge him with leverage. He knows how to change his target point on pass rushing. And he uses simple moves, but he uses them very effectively. And he's just relentless. So this is a great guy. If you're a defensive lineman, this is a really, really good guy to watch. Man, you can get really far in this world, in this sport, playing with that guy, playing like that guy. Excuse me.